Hello and welcome to my National Exam Prep review video on agency relationships in real estate transactions. It's just a lot of testable material here, and always remember that agency means representation. Who represents who in the transaction? In this video, I've set up 6 basic questions from one simple scenario about agency. These are all typical exam concepts we're going to cover. When you see the questions on the next slide, I encourage you to pause the video, give yourself time to answer each question, and then hit resume on the video and review your answers as I go through them. I'm also going to give you a lot of explanations and test tips. So, as always with my videos, I encourage you to take a lot of notes. Well, here's the basic scenario on agency we're going to discuss. Tom is a licensed salesperson for ABC Realty. Bob is the primary broker. Tom just secured a new listing. Broker Bob approved it. And now Tom has already started to market the property. Well, let's talk about 6 basic questions about concepts and identify individuals in this scenario. Who's Tom's principal? Who's Bob's principal? Remember, in every agency relationship, there's 2 parties, an agent and a principal. Let's identify those parties. You'll need to do that on the exam. To whom does Tom owe fiduciary duties? Here's a question: is Bob a principal, an agent, or both in this scenario? Basic question you want to know for your career: who owns this listing? And final question is, who did the client employ to act as their agent? Take a look at those 6 questions. Pause the video here if you want to. Write down your answers for those, and immediately after this, we will start reviewing your answers. Let's take a look at the first 2 questions. Who is Tom's principal? Well, that's going to be the broker, Bob. Remember, Bob employed Tom to act on his behalf. So Tom is the agent of Bob, who is his direct principal. Good thing to remember for your career and the exam. As a salesperson, your broker is your one and only principal. Well, then who's Bob's principal? Well, that's going to be the client. Remember, the client who signed the listing hired the brokerage to act on their behalf. So in that relationship, the client, the seller, is the principal, and Bob, the broker, is the agent. Well, these 2 questions are very important concepts to understand for your exam. To whom does Tom owe fiduciary duties? Well, Tom, as the salesperson, certainly owes fiduciary duties to his principal, which is Bob. But the salesperson also owes the same fiduciary duties to the firm's clients, the seller. Second concept is Bob a principal, an agent, or both in this transaction? The answer is Bob is both. I have a scenario, a graphic to put up a little bit after the end of this video in the last couple minutes that will share a lot of this additional information to help you get ready for the exam. But in every transaction in the brokerage, the broker is both the principal for all the salespeople, and the broker is also the agent for all of the firm's clients. Well, here's our last 2 questions. These are also really critical for your exam. Who owns that listing contract? The answer is the brokerage firm owns the contract. Tom doesn't own it. The firm owns it. And think about the last question here. Who did the client, in our case the seller, employ to act as their agent? Well, they actually employed the brokerage firm. They didn't employ Tom. Tom signed the listing on behalf of the broker, But clients do not hire salespeople to act on their behalf. Clients hire the brokerage firm, and it's the brokerage firm, Bob is the primary broker, that hired Tom to act on his behalf. Stick with me a few more moments and let's review some really critical concepts regarding agency. In every agency relationship, there are two parties, a principal and an agent. You can see here that the client at the top hired the broker, but the broker has hired salesperson Tom to act on the broker's behalf. So between the broker and the client is the principal of the brokerage, and the broker is the agent of the client. But then go down to the bottom part of the graphic. Broker Bob hired Tom to act on his behalf to help service the firm's clients. So in the bottom relationship, the broker is the principal of the salesperson, and the salesperson is the agent for the broker. So you can see that the broker is both an agent and a principal. Remember that. The broker is the agent for the client, but the principal of the salespeople. And remember from our scenario that salesperson Tom owes the same fiduciary duties to the firm's clients that he owes to his principal, broker Bob. These fiduciary duties are all recapped and reviewed in my agency video, part of my National Exam Prep playlist. And here's some extra credit on agency as we conclude our recap. Know the difference for your exam between special agency and general agency. Remember, special agency means that the agent does not have any ability to bind the principal. In our case, between the broker and the client. Bob, the broker, can't make any decisions for or bind the client. But the relationship between the broker and salesperson is always a general agency relationship, which means that the agent, in this case, salesperson Tom, has a limited ability to bind his principal, who is the broker. That's why when Tom went out and secured the listing, the seller signed the listing and Tom signed the listing. Well, the client wasn't hiring Tom, the client was hiring the broker. How come Tom could sign the listing? Because broker Bob gave him that authority as a general agent. So when Tom brought the listing back to the office, broker Bob looked at it and approved it. Now broker Bob is bound to the terms of that listing, even though broker Bob didn't sign it. Tom signed it because of their general agency relationship, giving Tom the limited ability to bind his principal. Well, I hope you found that review helpful. You can see my agency video again in my National Exam Prep playlist on my homepage. You can also find the additional 9 topics you'll find in your national exam in separate videos as part of my National Exam Prep playlist. And again, my goal is always to help you pass your exams. I wish you great luck in your career. And as always, if you like my videos, hit the like icon. Feel free to share these, make comments, subscribe if you like, and you'll be the first to see future videos when they come out.